Hi everyone, I am Sijia Lai, a student at CMC. Today I'm really excited because I get to interview Professor Minxin Pei. And Professor, you're the director of CAG Center. Would you like to introduce it for us?
Yes, well, it's a pleasure to talk to you today. The CAG Center for International and Strategic Studies is a very unique center. For a liberal arts college, a research center is actually a luxury. And CMC is one of the few, if not the only, liberal arts college in the country, in the US, that has such a center. And as a result, we can fund a lot of student research activities.
So right now we are actually at Chinese University of Hong Kong, half a world away from Claremont. So Professor, would you like to share what brings you here to Hong Kong?
Well, the Chinese University in Hong Kong is one of the, of course, premier research universities in Asia. But I come here because it has one of the world's best libraries on contemporary China. It is called the University Service Center. I've been coming here for the last 20 years. So this is why I'm here. I'm doing a project, incidentally, with you on superstition in China.
So I was thinking, how did you start picking this topic of superstitions in China?
Well, I have 3 rules, and I think my colleagues also follow these 3 rules. One is this an interesting topic? Second rule is that, is this an important topic? And third rule is, has anybody else done research on this topic? Basically, if you have yes to the first 2 and no to the last one, then it's a topic worth pursuing. Some topics are interesting but not important. For example, you want to see the color of ties Chinese leaders wear. It can be a good news story because several years ago, when all the senior Chinese leaders showed up for a press conference, they all wore red ties. But is it an important topic? It's not. Sometimes it's an important topic that it may not be very interesting. And the example I want to pick, okay, is the kind of names Chinese leaders give their kids. Actually, it shows the ideology, the aspirations, the elite culture of the time. But is this really interesting to other people? And the last one is, has anybody else done research on the topic? Ideally, the answer should be no. And that way, your research will be new. And less ideal is that other people have done research on the topic, but they have not done a lot. So you can still find interesting and new things to say.
So another thing we want to do at CMCtv is to help students with their questions. So I have a question from Anusha Ramji CMC class of 2020. She asks, what kind of research can a new student do?
I think students can only do a limited amount of research. But there are 2 kinds of research a student can do. One is research based on primary data collection. So if you, for example, can go to a village and interview a group of people, that's very valuable because in this case, the contribution comes from the primary data. The second kind of research is the one that you and I are doing. That is, we cannot go out and ask Chinese officials how superstitious they are, right? Because they're not going to talk to you. So what you can do is to comb through a very large database of secondary materials. And the contribution here is not primary material, but a very systematic effort of data collection. You can extract a lot of data, insights, examples, analysis from the materials you get.
The next question comes from Clair Dwyer from Pomona class of 2020. She wants to know, when is the first time can a student get involved in research?
I would advise that a student should get involved in research in their sophomore year. I wouldn't advise a student to try to get involved with a research project in their freshman year, because in their freshman year they really need to get used to a very demanding environment. But in their second year, they have acquired some basic skills, especially writing, and they're much more confident.
Our next question comes from Rebecca Wiggins from Pomona as well. She wants to know how can the student find such opportunities for research.
There are basically two ways. One is to look for research assistants. For example, the Keck Center hires anywhere between 7 to 10 RAs a year. Other research centers like the Rose Institute and the Salvadori Center, Human Rights Center, I'm sure they all have similar opportunities. In the first week back on campus, go to these centers and fill out job applications. If they should miss these opportunities, then they should be a little bit more creative and entrepreneurial. They should approach professors whose research they like, they're interested in, and say, can I do something? It's, of course, a long shot, but you never know.
And our last question comes from a Hobby Mud student, David Linn. He wants to know if you could compare summer and school year research and see if they are different.
Research is a very intense and sustained process. So a student can learn a lot more during the summer because a professor spends, say, a month thinking about nothing else but his research project. So a student gets a lot more involved. During the school year, a professor is very busy, so he can be distracted. Ideally, if a professor is on leave, but is not going away somewhere else, sabbatical, that would be really the best opportunity for a student to be working with a professor.